this kind of behavior. So I think we'll go to the next one. So there is this third question. This question continued. So each member, now Buddha was asking this question not from the group as such. Buddha was asking this from the leader, Anuruddha. So Anuruddha explains this way, the empathetic manner. So Anuruddha explains that by this Kirodaki Bhuta, as milk and water blending, we conduct ourselves always paying attention to the other person empathically. So empathy is a word which is new to the, I think, vocabulary in the psychology, psychotherapy area. So in English, there's a separate, usage. You put yourself in the shoes of the other person. So these are four special ways that they conduct empathy. First, I set aside what I wish to do. Second, then I observe what would be the wish of the other person. Number 3, then I act accordingly with empathy. There is no discord among us. So these four in Pali, we help. We actually conduct ourselves to maintain much harmony among ourselves. So each one works. Take these steps. Not only one just doing it. Anuruddha, Kimbila, and Nandiya. The Sutta says separately they answered the Buddha, and Buddha spoke to them actually separate, not in group also. But Buddha got same answer from all the three people. That means all the three monks. That means there is good understanding among these three monks. So this shows that that if we have created within ourselves these values of conduct, day-to-day conduct, there will definitely be harmony in our dwelling, in our setup, which is explained with mutual joy, without quarreling, bending like milk and water, looking at each other with adorable eyes. I think I separately put these things because those four things are very important for us to keep in mind and apply in our day-to-day setting. So question number 3, I think we dealt with question number 2. The question number 3 refers to how do you conduct yourself? How do you maintain that kind of harmony within this setup? So Buddha was not very happy and wanted to further interrogate what else make you to act like this. And we see here that it is an invaluable opportunity for having to live with such worthy companions in this holy life. Each of them admire that the friends they have, the associates, the companions are very equally like, they are like alike. So we think that it is a great gain. It's a rare opportunity that this kind of friends are there for our association. So what else make you act like this? Because there's no difference. So they don't feel that the other person is different. But so it's very harmonious. That is an illustration of what harmony is. In Pali, it is very interesting. So it says labha. Labha is a gain. Labha vatame. Indeed, it is a gain for me. Suladdang vatame. I got a great benefit. Suladdang. It's a benefit. It's a great benefit. What? To meet, to live this kind of, very sambrahmachari, noble friends. So I think for us, maybe it is very great thing to hear. In we have not developed our values so to that high level. So in this setup, spiritual development of these monks may have made to for them to um, live empathetically and appreciate each other, that they are in a very cordial environment with high um, spiritual attainment. I'm not discussing about high spiritual attainment. I'm only referring to in this sutta discussing the monastic living. So this last statement, I am summarizing it from the sutta. Thus, we always maintain loving kindness towards each other when they are in the vicinity or away at a distance. So that is also a very important rule, important value. Sometimes in a company, we always appreciate when a person is in front of us. So here, this reference is that even in front of us, so even the person is away from me, I maintain the same um, empathy with the friend. So which means it is open, there is no secrecy, no defiling thoughts being harbored about the other person. So they act always with loving kindness in all three ways: how, in deed, word, and mind. So I think we'll move into some further illustration. Uh, their practice. When you read to the end of the sutta, one can find the very strict way of practice. The way of practice, each person is responsible to maintain serene environment within the monastery. So uh, uh, I have translated this into English in my own words. It is a gain for me that I am dwelling with worthy companions in the monastic life, so that I keep up acts of loving kindness through physical behavior towards each other. Physical behavior in the sense that they, in their household chores, monastic chores, they follow a very uh, specific, way of, communicating with each other. It says that in doing the monastic chores, they do without anybody telling them. So each one does its part very um, mm, very very key in a keen way, not even asking any help from the other, or not accusing anything about not doing right, not being supported by the other. So they use not words but hand signals. If someone wants help to lift something, for example, that monk calls the other person's attention by signaling. They don't use words. That is what here is mentioned, physical behavior. Physically, they do everything, the cleaning, washing, arranging the seats in the in the eating hall and things like that. So they all do with much responsible manner. The next one is, then I keep loving kindness through speech towards each other. So they hardly use words. Only words are being used during the discussion of Dhamma and exchanging experience about their spiritual gains. So now thirdly, I keep up loving kindness through mind and thoughts towards each other. I think that this is the one which is very important for further study and further examination as, you know, as common people, as lay people. I think we can control sometimes our physical behavior, we can control our speech, our words, but we are not able to even spot where our mind is and what our thoughts are. So I think in this sutta, one has to read slowly. It is a very short sutta, but each area, the physical behavior, uh, uh, as well as the words, the speech, and the thoughts, all the three things are to be taken into consideration. And that kind of practice is good for lay people in improving uh, friendliness within and among the householders, the members of the household, and even the members of a business entity, workplace, or even in the higher echelons like decision-making places. So if one reads this sutta, one should definitely feel that, you know, there is a lot to learn from the conduct of these three young monks, and this sutta gives us shed much light to question, to analyze, to investigate one's behavior, whether it is within the household or outside. So I actually thought that next one. Mm, uh, so we do actually here, I like to pay a little bit more attention this through the learnings, through the teachings and the readings of this sutta. As lay people, I thought, how do I control my thoughts? How do I first understand my thoughts? How do I spot my thoughts? So that practice is important. And today also we have had just a few minutes of metta meditation. And metta meditation is very popular. I actually want to introduce this kind of uh, statements, or to understand there's another aspect. There's little more step that we can take in the meditating environment. I will read slowly one by one. How do I? So when I sit at meditation, when I sit and start observing my breath, so we start observing breath as the first step. So then with that intention, I thought that if I were the person who is sitting, if I strive to put aside my own personal desires. So desires, we know desires are we call defilements. Personal desires are very natural, but sometimes if the desires are not that desires are too much, too much to bear, then it becomes jealousy, abhijja vishama lobha we call. So I must first try to put aside my personal desires. So in the Buddhist way, the desire actually abhijja vishama lobha is the Pali term, which means excessive desire or excessive greed rather. So if while sitting at meditation, if you contemplate on our defiling thoughts, then that will be much more, I think, beneficial to change our day-to-day behavior or day-to-day conduct. So this is over to the audience, the listeners, to question during the question and answer time. No. Number two, I reflect on others with empathy, recognizing what others wish to have done. So that is the second thing. I reflect on others with empathy. While sitting in meditation, if I have the mind to be empathetic with the other person's needs. So empathy meaning I have to recognize what I do like should be liked by the other person. Therefore, I must give empathetic consideration. So this I reflect the others with empathy, recognizing what they need to be done, what they wish to have done, what they wish according to the wishes. So how can you recognize the wishes of the other person? It is difficult. Then you have to be, you have to develop your mind so that at one point of time you will be able to read the mind of the other person empathically. So that's the second one. The third one, I act accordingly so that we feel and before as one. I think this is a bit of bad English, I think. That means there will not be 2 or 3 people. We become one person in terms of our thoughts as well as action. So that also seems to be very hefty thought or action, I would say. When you sit at meditation, I have to consider that all the other persons around me are just like me. What they want are similar. Therefore, I should feel that we all are as one person. This is also very high, hefty goal. But in meditation, I think if we keep on, practicing in a community environment, it is not difficult to achieve. I think in our forest monasteries, we hear some of the recluses and meditators act like that, and they are very empathetic, and they always feel for the other, and there is no dispute, no discord. Always there is harmony in that kind of an environment. So now the fourth one is that it is actually the simile. If one really meditate, sit in meditation and contemplate on this manner mentioned above, the 3 ways, and there will be much how do you say, harmony, in the sense settling the mind. The mind becomes settled. Mind is always agitating, no? So I think in the Chitta Vagga of Dhammapada, we know it's very we can't control. You can't touch. You can't feel. It is such a difficult, a subtle, not a matter. You can't find what it is, a kind of a energy. So if we can sit and meditate like that, then the mind and the person becomes one. So you control the mind through this kind of thoughts developing within yourself in meditation. Then the result of, if we develop the mind in this way, what is the result? The result is I can focus on other person so that I will not do anything to upset, to hurt, harm the other person. So that means I really act with loving kindness. So this is what my summary of the Cula Gosinga Sutta, where the Buddha asking 3 questions from these young monks, for which they answered in affirmation and also explaining that their conduct is very cordial, very pleasing, and always they like to live, act as in unison. There are no three people in that environment. There is only one person, acting, or one person's thoughts given priority or given prominence. So there is no room for argument, displeasure, and all those things mentioned, that we come across: sorrow, jealousy, pride, all that, in Vattupama Sutra, we find, 16 types of defilements. I think rather than learning the sutta, analyzing and applying to the daily life is very useful, and that is what I wanted to, point out and stress in my presentation. I may not have done much, analysis, but so let's go to question and answer session, and I will try to do justice to my presentation if there are questions to get more clear clarification. Thank you very much for listening. Dr. Manori.
Thank you very much, Mallika. That was very useful, very relevant to from every household to society, to between large groups of people also, as well as between individuals. So that was very beautifully done. And you analyzed everything. Can we, now the listeners can unmute themselves and ask any questions or comments. Please do so, or raise your hand. Sorry. Raise your hand or just speak up. Mallika is willing to answer any questions. Thank you, Mallika. Thank you for all the trouble you had taken in making all those slides and analyzing this very important sutta between these three monks. Samantha says, thank you for the very helpful and useful talk. Samantha Jayatilaka from the UK. Any questions? Or can I just make a comment? Now, this was between living together, three monks who were up until then unrelated, or till they came in and became bhikkhus and they got to know each other, obviously. I would like to say that this is also relevant between, say, ethnic groups in this country. And I would like to, something came into my hand the other day. I thank Dr. Sirisena for giving it. It's actually a script of an oration, the Dr. A.M.A. Aziz Memorial Oration delivered by Deshamanya MDD Piris some years ago. And Dr. Sirisena felt it's important enough, and he has made several copies of it. And I got one. And in that, there is a quote from Professor Lorna Devaraja, whom many of you would have heard of, if not all of you. She, in her book, what's the title of her book? It's on 1000 Years of Ethnic Harmony, The Muslims of Sri Lanka, is the book. And here she mentions how, what she says is that it was such a peaceful relationship between the Sinhalese and the Muslims, and she calls it a unique minority-majority relations, that perhaps it was so peaceful, such a peaceful relationship, that it had passed unnoticed by the historians. And what I like to say is about the empathy that you mentioned, when this group of people had settled in a foreign land and they were in villages. We find here the number of instances where the bhikkhus had permitted mosques to be built on Buddhist monastic lands for the benefit of the Muslim villagers whom they felt felt needed, to place to practice and to be taught their own faith. So that's empathy, is where you put yourself, it's not sympathy, not feeling sorry, but putting yourself in their. Karuna is also supposed to be not sympathy, but empathy, feeling, putting yourself in their feet. This could have been me, and what would I have wanted? And there are examples I just like to read. The Kaattu Palya in Kandy is one such. The Madul Bower and Kahatapitiya mosques. Then there were instances, there's the Pangolla Mada Mosque built on land belonging to Degal Dorua Vihara. And another mosque at Rambukkandana. And it was on land belonging to the Riddhi Vihara at Kurunegala. And so on and so forth. She lists several. So that's again empathy leading to harmony in not just individuals, but which is so very relevant to living in harmony, which we need to. I just want to bring that to book. I was just reading only 2 days ago, so I thought I should, when I saw that Mallika was speaking on this topic.
Excuse me, Dr. Nandini. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, please.
I'm Sujata here.
Yes,
at the very start, I think I missed something. How did Buddha get into the forest when the sentry was standing there asking him not to go in? That part I think I missed. How did he get into the jungle or the forest?
We can't hear you, Mallika. I don't know whether you're unmuted or can you
hear me, doctor?
Now, yes. Now, okay, yeah.
My question, did you follow? Can I ask it again, please? Hello? I think you're not clear here. Hello? Yes, I'm calling from abroad.
Mallika, you're very clear. Sujata, you're very clear. Mallika, did you hear the question? Sujata wants to know. Mallika, can you hear us? No, we can't hear Mallika. Mallika, you're...
Blessed One was living at Mallika in the brick house.
Mallika, the question is, how did the Buddha get past that sentry at the gate?
Hello? Yeah, Sujata, it's a very good question.
Now I can hear you. Thank you. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, Actually, it is at the very beginning, the grove keeper stopped the Buddha without knowing that it was the teacher of these 3 monks. What he did was not stopping him to enter the monastery. Actually, his intention, his idea was that these 3 monks are very cordially living in that environment. He should not allow an outsider to get into the monastery so that their peaceful life will be disturbed. So that means this the grove keeper knew that the peace is very important for monks to develop their spiritual attainment. So that is the answer I can give, Sujata.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was wondering whether verbally the sentry said, no, you can walk in or something like that. Nothing like that.
Yeah, but this particular Gosingasala Vana has had the Dwarapalaka. Dwarapalaka is the gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper,
the gatekeeper. So his duty is to, to ensure that the people in the environment is being looked after without any disturbance. But actually, in certain other places, when Buddha taking the walk, he found his night in certain places like the chimney, that the kiln. So those places were places like, Ambalam, the resting places. But here is a very well organized park where, like the Ambapali, the park, Mango Park, then the bamboo park, those were actually very well organized and maybe supported by the kings, I'm sure. Yes. So well maintained parks, right? Yeah.
May I intervene, please?
Yes, Bhikkhuni.
Yes, Bhikkhuni.
Now it is, I have the book with me just now because I took it to my hand. It is said like this, thus have I heard on one occasion. Now listen, on one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Nadika in the brick house. So he was living at that point. And now on that occasion, the Venerable Anuruddha, the Venerable Nandiya, and the Venerable Kimbila were living at the park of the Gosingasala tree wood.
Yeah.
Because they were living in this wood, Salavana, Gosingasala Vana, and Buddha was living nearby. So Buddha had, maybe he had walked ask them how they are, maybe something, and he went there. And at the gate, he was stopped by the watcher, and he says, "Do not enter this park recluse." He doesn't allow. Do not enter this park recluse. There are 3 clansmen here seeking their own good. Do not disturb. That is the point. He didn't want to disturb these 3 monks because they were so peaceful. They were living in harmony. And as Mallika had given, and it was given in the book also, when the Buddha asked them, how do you live together like this without any problem, without any confusing and any sort of dispute? So, and they answered, it's like water and milk. Once it is gets mixed up. You can't hear me?
No, we can hear.
My
Yeah.
question is different.
Once it's mixed up, you can't see where the water and where the milk is. So the people say that swans can do it, but we can't do it. We humans can't do it. So because it is mixed up and blended together. And I think what Dr. Mallika wants to tell us is that to keep up harmony and peace within us is to tolerate the others, respect others, and be mindful. And if somebody has any problem with his duties, we have to give them an excuse also. Now, this is very good in our institutions, maybe in a school, maybe hospital, maybe in our household, because we all have a duty. If we are duty-oriented, work-oriented, we all have a duty. Now, in the hospital, the doctor has a duty, and the nurses have a duty, and the attendants and all people have a duty. If they haven't performed the duty well, then everybody, all have a problem. So they should know my duty. Now, I should know what my duty is. And everybody should know what their duty is. This is a very, we have to make it very clear. Now, the thing is, our people, most of our people, they don't care. They don't care. They don't know. They are not duty bounded. So this has become a problem in our society. I see everywhere this is there. And in the school also, the principal has a responsibility. He has a duty, he or she, and the teachers have a duty, and children also. Otherwise, you can't make a peaceful school or a peaceful environment within the school. And especially I see in our country and our society, we are actually, I'm sorry to say this, wearing a cheever also, but we are a little bit of proud, or we don't like to be bound ourselves. We are very proud. I'm the boss, or I'm so and so. I should not go into this, and why should I treat him like this, like that? We have some pride. Because of this, sometimes problems arise. And so, if we can respect the other person, now in ethnic matters also, recently I went to Jaffna, and they all together at once, they all together told, what they told was, we are minority and you harass us, you people harass us, and you all don't care for us, and we are every time we are being harassed, and we are not we are neglected, we are not accepted. So that is the point. So they have this. So maybe because I don't know, maybe they are through experiences. They talk through experiences. So if we are responsible, we have to make ourselves. We have to accept if we have gone wrong. Empathy. Now we were talking about empathy. So we have to see these things empathically, not sympathize. We should not sympathize, but we have to look at their problems empathetically. So this
Any
is a
other
very good
questions?
point, that we have to respect each other, and respect and accept them. So I think I took a little time, and thank you, Manori, and thank you, Mallika. I think she gave a very good description. No, Manori. So
Yes,
she
very
did a
good
nice.
talk. Very good
So
talk. Mahendra, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Dr. Gosingasala
Okay.
Forest, do you want to say anything? I think you do.
Thank
Yes.
you, Manori. Well, firstly, I want to thank the speaker for an excellent presentation. The message was very clear. And because the ethnic harmony has been discussed, I just want to put one point of view. And that is that the sooner we drop the term minority and majority, the better it will be for us, because it always implies, like in democracy, the majority wins, you see. If you're part, the majority wins. So always implies that the minority is less important than the others. I think if we forget the word minority and just say there are different ethnic people or religious people or whatever, and their numbers doesn't matter at all. Each person is a human being, and you must not decide on what is good and bad for people in a community based on their numbers. That term minority should be dropped forever. That implies that the majority has a say over the minority. So that is just a point of view I want to put forward. I completely agree with all the principles that have been said about harmony and living together, empathy. Absolutely true. But using the word minority is very, very bad. It's say, oh, you're a minority, but we'll be nice to you. Very, anyway, that's my view.
Good. Thank you.
Can I ask something from? I think I didn't get the name. I think Mr. Mahendra. Mr. Mahendra,
Dr.
yeah.
Gosingasala Forest.
Dr. Gosingasala Forest,
Also
yeah.
in the UK, yes.
Yeah, so I think this is very important. And now I think we find during next year or this year with the elections, I think we find all these minority, labels are being, played out negatively for the harmony of the people. So I think what can we do? I think this is the political setup in our country. But in Western countries, I think they recognize minorities, but not in terms of their majority and minority, but in terms of their ethnic or religious or language, whatever those specificities. I think we have to maybe think differently and think afresh of our culture and also political the arrangements, and so I think so we have to think about it. I mean, thank you for pointing out that particular problem. Yes, it is a problem we have to solve, right?
It is a problem that has been created.
Yes.
Any other
However, I must add, Manuri, that it's not just a problem in Sri Lanka, because when herds get together, the larger numbers tend to dominate the smaller numbers, and that's a tendency that you see in the animal kingdom, if you like. But we must get above that and say that you look at each human being and say you're a human being. It doesn't matter whether you're a Tamil or Sinhalese or Berg or English, or you're a human being. And you deserve the same respect, tolerance, understanding that everybody has. And just because you are lesser in number, it doesn't mean that you have to bow to the majority. That is totally wrong in my view.
Very true. Each one has the same rights. All are equal according to individuals, single or in multiples.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions or comments, please, before we close the meeting?
Yeah, Dr. Dr. Manori, can
Yes,
I
go ahead.
just ask a quick question? I was just thinking, like, the society, we just see to the current day, we haven't really learned anything because the wars are still going, manifesting and creating, and all sorts of things are going on. And it just seems to be the rich and the power, have the upper hand, and they do things as they like, and how do we live in harmony with what's going on in the current situation in the world? I suppose from a Buddhist point of view, we seem to just we can do quietly and silently and marches and what have you, but and help people, but it's just like to turn a blind eye and not do anything. I mean, it's individual, isn't it? We have to purify our own minds individually. But I just don't understand how we put this into practice now with what's going on in the world.
Excellent question, Samantha. A few meetings back, you may have missed that. This same question arose. And somebody actually said how pained that person was, one of the listeners, by what's going on in the Gaza Strip, and how terrible it is. And we all, for example, personally in our home, we had stopped looking at the local news. We were only looking at the foreign news. But now for, I don't know, well over 2.5 months or so, the television has it's a piece of furniture, because we have stopped looking at the brutality is too much even on the foreign news. But the answer given by Bhikkhuni who had come from Australia was, and quite rightly, that wars were there even in the time of the Buddha. You have to do something, you have to get involved if you can do something. And you have to do whatever you can if you can stop it. But if you can't, there's no point feeling, getting that dagger being struck into you again and again yourself. If nothing can be done, it's not that you are looking away, but then, there comes a point when you have to, for example, even in the Buddha's time, I recall, the paternal side of the family and the maternal side of the family, over a river, over the rights to the water, I think, if I remember, the Holiers and the Shakyans were at war, and the Buddha intervened, and it was negotiated or whatever. The second time also it flared up, and the same thing happened. But the third time it flared up, he also couldn't do anything. He just didn't. Had left it for them to fight it out, and a large number had loss of lives. So again, it means that we can't. If you can't, there is no point getting depressed. But there are some people. I had lunch yesterday with some lady who said, watching what was happening in Sri Lanka, or not ethnic problems or anything, but the general, situations, corruption or whatever, injustices, that she said that she fell ill, she got diabetes, blah, blah, blah. And then finally she's one person I got to know at Meethirigalam. I first got to know she's a meditator. How she has stopped all that, because now it's not a question of looking away. Do if you can, but if you can't, if you're miles away or you have tried and failed, well, that's it.
Mm.
That's equanimity at that point.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Manori. Yeah. Just have to purify one's
don't
own
know.
mind and
I don't know
help
if
others.
people will not agree, but to be, again, it comes to this business of being, it's a funny thing, the twin emotions of being, compassion and also being detached. These two can be done at the same time. And that doesn't come that doesn't come easily to understand that. But one has to have compassion, but also be detached.
Yes, surplus. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Manori, can I add something to this particular question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'm thinking actually this particular sutta is based on 3 young monks' experience and how they felt. So now we have a duty, at least to teach our younger generation how to face a situation, especially when they amidst conflict. It can be religious, it can be even in the playground, there are conflicts. Cricket ground, for example, there are conflicts. So if we can really promote this kind of concept among children from the young age, I am sure that there will be a change in society. But when you grow older, I think it is difficult, because we are attached to various, things like our religion, our culture, our language, and so it is for divisive, behavior. So government is trying to bring reconciliation through various means, but I think the result is not very impressive. So I think we have to start afresh. Other countries have done so, like in other countries they have their religious minorities, but they don't call them minorities. They are followers of like meditation. In America, you find so many people following Buddhism, but they don't call it Buddhism, but meditation. So in that way, they become one group, a homogeneous group. So I think we should really go beyond this religion, ethnicity, and that kind of labels, which really create much bad feeling among the people. So they are so attached to the language, the religion, the things like that. So it's my view. I don't know, it may be debatable, but,
No, but
that
is what is that Matcharya being miserly. What we
Yeah.
I thought Matcharya was miserly with wealth, but the Buddha means not just looking after your wealth, looking after your reputation, your name. You think this is my clan or my name, or all that goes with my land, right? You can't say my land. It's
Right.
you should not be attached to any of those like that.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Right. Shall we end the meeting then in the usual way? Bhikkhuni, can I please ask you to stanzas for
Okay.
the devas and Patat.
Let's
Thank you.
dance our merits with the people who were in the servants of the Buddha, and all the people who help us, and with everybody, let's say Akasata Chakumatha Divananaga Mallika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Lokasasanang Chiran Rakkantu Dhamma Desanang Chiran Rakkantu Mang Paranti. May all beings be well and happy. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta.
Thank you, Bhikkhuni, and thank you very much, Mallika, for that very, very well explained talk, Dhamma talk, and very useful, and all who contributed by joining and participating, asking questions, commenting, and so forth. Thank you, everyone, and may you all be well and happy till next week. And we hope to meet at the operation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With metta, much metta. Manori, it was a very interesting presentation, and the questions were very, very good and very
interesting.
yeah, interesting, and also you can it promotes me to read more and more, and analyze these suttas for the application in the present situation. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhikkhuni.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome.